CP24 ready? I always have to ask. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I first want to begin by saying something I've said the last couple of days, which is to wish Rob Ford and his family very best wishes for a speedy and healthy recovery. I can't begin to understand how difficult a time this is for them, and I imagine the decision Rob Ford made today was the single most important decision and difficult decision of his career. I think it's the right decision when it comes down to a choice between your health. He's often talked about that himself, and I admire him for making that decision. As I said the other day, when you are in public office or running for public office, these kinds of highly personal challenges play themselves out very publicly. And we have to remember that Rob Ford is a family man, and that he's facing a very big personal challenge, obviously, or I don't think we'd be talking about this today. And I know that also that Rob Ford is one of the reasons that I thought he'd be wanting to go back to the debating table if he could have, is because he not only loves the spirit of the debate, but he also loves the city and loves to talk about the city, and I think that's why, and he would agree, I think we've got to get on with the business of running the city, and that includes the running of an election campaign. The challenges that we face, I think, are simply too great, and the stakes are simply too high not to get on with this magnificent democratic process that I feel very privileged to be a part of. And so in that context, I want to welcome Doug Ford to the mayor's race as well, and to wish him well. I admire anybody who puts their name on a ballot and runs for public office. Doug, of course, is no stranger to the residents of this city. He very often speaks for his brother, or has in the past, and he's not shy about expressing his opinions. We all know that. To voters, I would say this. Even with the changes today, the choice facing the people of Toronto has not changed. There's a clear choice: 4 more years of the division and the chaos that we've seen at Toronto City Hall, or a candidate who can work with the City Council and with the other governments to get Toronto back on track. Because I think that is so important to the future of the city and all the people who live in it. Doug Ford, who is now a candidate for mayor, has repeatedly put down the members of City Council who were his colleagues, and he has publicly disparaged the Premier of this province and members of her cabinet. He's been insensitive to a number of our communities, including very recently the parents of children with autism. So I don't think that Doug Ford offers Toronto more of the same. In fact, he may offer Toronto something that is worse. I don't think we can continue with the politics of division in this city anymore. Division between the suburbs and downtown, between different groups that are living in our city, one group versus another. I just don't think that can continue. I think people want the city brought together as one city, one great city where people work together, whether they're in Scarborough or Etobicoke or North York or downtown. Whatever group they may be a part of, or different kinds of groups, they want us to work together to get things done for them. And I think that I've said this from the first day of the campaign. I think we need a mayor who can move the city forward as one. That is what people are looking for, perhaps more so than anything else. And so I believe that I am that candidate. I believe that I continue to be that candidate. And on October 27th, I will be asking Torontonians for their support to move the city forward, to get Toronto back on track as one.
John, Doug Ford has not made, well, he has made it known in the last couple of months, especially, that he is looking forward to leaving City Hall and getting back to work in his family business and in Chicago. What is your response given this latest development and those most recent comments?
My response is only to say that he said he was looking forward to leaving City Hall. I'm looking forward to arriving there. I'm excited about the challenge of going over to the Toronto City Hall and making a difference, to bring the city together, to attract jobs, to build transit, to address some of the things that have been difficult to address in the last little while because everybody's been divided and because the relationships with other governments have been not what they should be. So he may have been excited at one point about leaving City Hall. I'm as excited as I could be about getting over there on the 28th of October and getting to work.
John, what do you think about the mayor's decision to pull out of the mayoral race, but to run in Ward 2, even though he's facing all these very serious health issues?
That's entirely his decision. And as I say, I'm sure this whole thing was the most difficult decision that he's ever had to make in his whole life, certainly when it comes to politics. And it's very difficult. I'm assuming that he's got some serious health challenges, or he wouldn't have withdrawn from the mayor's race. I know from sitting beside him at 2 or 3 of the debates, notwithstanding all the sparring that goes on, he was enjoying the campaign. And so I think he'll decide whatever's best for him and his family. I'm sure they all talked about it at length with Renata and others. And I respect whatever decision he made. But I can't really comment beyond that. I just hope he gets better. I really think everybody in Toronto would hope that he gets better, whatever it is that is wrong with him.
John, as much as Rob and Doug often spoke in similar voice, they are two different people. So how does this change your strategy? What will you change now that you're campaigning against a completely different person?
I understand, obviously, they are two different people, but I think they're cut from the same cloth. I mean, they seem to take pleasure, for example, I pointed this out last week in the last meeting of City Council of moving motions and took joy in the fact that they were defeated, 38-2, and the two people were both named for. And I'd say what you've got to be doing is working for more and more votes at City Council where it's 45-0 in favor of something. Let's get the council on a positive note where we're talking about building transit and about attracting jobs and about keeping taxes low. So I just think that with Mr. Ford, you get more of the same and maybe worse in terms of this division that really has been eating away at the city's ability to move forward and get back on track.
2 more questions.
How do you see Doug Ford?
Yeah, sorry, you had one. I'd give you lots, but somebody would be mad at me for doing that. So who else? I'm sure your question was excellent, but.
Doug will change the dynamic.
I'm sorry.
How do you expect Doug will change the dynamic?
I can't really predict that. I mean, I think that, I think the choice remains the same for people. I mean, I think people do have this very clear choice between sort of more of the same or possibly amped up, or a brand new approach, a breath of fresh air at City Hall that comes in there and says, we're going to work together as a council to move the city forward. We're gonna build the city up. We're gonna bring people together from across the city. We're gonna build transit and attract jobs here. And I think the world is gonna notice a positive Toronto, a forward-looking Toronto, and I look forward to being, as I've said, the chief salesperson, the ambassador for this city, and the person who gets along well and forges the kinds of relationships with the other governments and city council that you absolutely need to get that done.
Last question, I saw him at the back.
Some of the other mayor candidates have been complaining that they haven't been invited to debates. Will Doug Ford be invited to debate, and what do you have thoughts on that?
Well, I often say, and it's the truth, that we don't decide who gets invited to the debates or doesn't get invited. I mean, they may decide to leave me out one day, and I would probably miss it, depending on circumstances. But so I would hope that organizers will take a look at their own policies in this regard and invite whoever they wish. We don't control that, and so I'm just looking forward to debating Mr. Ford and Ms. Chow and others who come. We've had some good debates involving others, but I'm looking forward to those debates going forward. I'm sure with Mr. Ford and his sort of the insult machine that operates on a pretty regular basis, it'll be very, very interesting.
Great, thank you guys.
Thanks very much.